Hello everyone, this is Mr. Olson. Today in this video I'm going to show you how to actually create the sheet that you're going to be turning in on Canvas. So I have my tiny house or my container home that I've created, and now I need to turn this into a sheet so I can turn it in. This process works for any of the assignments that you have. You're going to turn them all in the same way. Okay, so we're going to start by creating a sheet. So over in our project browser, I'm going to go down to where it says Sheets. Okay, I'm going to right click on Sheets. So I have this option for New Sheet. Go ahead and click on that. The sheet that I want to use is not actually an option right now. So what I need to do is go over to where it says Load. And then I'm going to go down, and you should recognize these folders from adding components, to where it says Title Blocks. So I'm going to double click on Title Blocks, and then I'm going to go into this, we're going to do the 11 by 17 horizontal. Okay, so that looks like that. Here's the preview over here. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Notice it shows up right there, so now I can hit OK. And it opens my sheet. Now, when I expand this down here in my project browser, I have A101 unnamed. So one of the first things I can do is go ahead and type in the owner's name. So I'm just going to put in Mr. Olson. And then for the project name, you're going to add it in here. Okay, so I can just say Tiny House. Okay, and so those are the only two that I'm looking for. Know that you also have some other options over here. I'm not even going to change any of that for this demonstration. Okay, so now the couple things that I need when you turn this in is I need the isometric view up here. I'm going to need the floor plan over here, and then I'm going to have two elevations over here. Now before we move anything in, we need to change a couple things in our actual plans that we're going to be including. Okay, so level 1 is the floor plan that I'm going to want to add in. Okay, so you can see that here's my floor plan, here's my grass. You can't really tell in this floor plan. What you are going to do is first edit the crop region. The crop region is going to allow you to, whatever is in that crop region, you're going to be able to see in that sheet. And the way you do that is by going down here to where it says Crop View. Okay, here it says Show Crop Region. So I'm going to click on Show Crop Region. Now, it looks like nothing changed, but if I zoom out, that is my crop region. So anything in here is going to be placed into my drawing or into my sheet. So I'm going to want to change that crop region. Okay. So what I can do is click on that crop region, and then I'm just going to use these controls to bring them in. And note that I'm going actually really close here. That's because I don't want a bunch of extra blank space. So that looks pretty good. So now what I can do is go back to where my sheet is. Okay, I'm going to put my floor plan actually in the upper left corner here. So what I do in order to add that in is go over to my project browser, and where it says level 1 plans, I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag it over and place it in. Notice this is my crop region of what I just edited. If you do not edit the crop region, it's going to be too big for your sheet, and it's not going to work out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and click. There is my floor plan. It says it's level 1, and then this is my scale. If I don't like the scale on this, one of the things I can do is go to View Scale over here and change the size. For me, this is a pretty good size. And actually, since for the tiny home, the floor plan is going to be a little bit more important than the elevation, because I don't have a lot of extra floors. I only need one side. I'm going to actually make this a little bit bigger than I normally would. And so one of the things you want to think about is, hey, if I look at this picture, am I seeing enough of the floor plan that I could see everything going on? And if you look at this, it's too small. So we're going to want to make that a little bit bigger. So if I click on here, on this arrow next to View Scale, I have a lot of different options to make it bigger or smaller. So if I go to 1 and hit Apply, notice that it gets smaller. So I'm going the wrong way. So if I go back, I was at 1/8, so let's try 3/16. I'm going to hit apply. Notice that it got bigger. I actually think that this will look really nice for my floor plan in here, and then I can have my isometric and one of my elevations over on the side. Okay, so now that I have my floor plan done, I'm going to work on my 3D view. So when I go over and I click on my 3D view in the project browser, here's my 3D view. One of the things that you have to do for your 3D view as well is make sure that your crop region makes sense. So I'm going to say show crop region. Now you'll notice my crop region is much smaller in this one, so I don't have to do as much, but I can make it a little bit smaller, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now anything that you see in this region is going to be put into your sheet. Okay, so I'm done with my crop region here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my sheet. Now when I drag my 3D view over, it's going to look exactly how my 3D view looks already. So if I click, here's my 3D view. Notice my walls were hidden. And so is my roof. So if I want that view, which I actually think is pretty useful, because I can actually see, hey, this is what it looks like in 3D. The walls are not as important. They're pretty plain walls. It's a plain flat roof. That's the view I'm going to want to keep in there. And it actually shows a lot more detail. If I didn't want that, I go back into the 3D view and I say reset, temporary hide, or isolate because I hid those elements. This is what my container house looks like. If I go back to the sheet, notice, well, it should make that change for you. And for some reason it's not, of course. So what I might actually have to do is say, alright, I want to delete this. Go back to my 3D, or drag my 3D view back in, and now it has that change. A lot of times it actually makes that change without having to delete it, but for some reason it didn't do it this time around. For this, I think it's better to hide the roof since it's not really as important as what I'm seeing without that stuff. So in this sheet, I think it actually looks better if I remove those walls, so you can actually see into the tiny house. Okay. The last thing you need to do is add an elevated view. My recommendation is add the one that makes the most sense. So here, east. I mean that kind of. I would think that makes the most sense. My north looks like this. It seems like this gives you less detail than if I were to do the east. So I'm going to go ahead and use my east view. I first want to check my crop region and make sure that that makes sense. Now one of the things you're going to notice is this is extremely long from here to here. If I try to put that into my sheet, it's going to go from here all the way across my sheet, and I don't want that to happen either. So one of the things you can do in your view, so I'm going to go back into my view, is you can actually move these over. So if I click on this, I can drag these closer to my actual building. Okay, for some reason this one's over here. That's kind of weird. Okay, and I can move those a lot closer, and then notice my crop region is still very big, so I'm going to go ahead and move my crop region in as well. And it's going to take some tries, so if it doesn't work the first time, escape out and try it again. I think that's a good, that's going to look good when I put it into my sheet. So I'm going to go back into my sheet. I can now click and drag my east over. And there you go. I have my sheets done. When I hit escape here, I have my elevation views. It's showing that I actually do have a level 2 right in here. And if you look at my tiny house, here's my level 2. It's enabling me to stack these beds the way I did. And it also shows where my roof is at level, or at 8 feet 6 inches, and then where my ground level is as well. Okay. Now, if any of these scales don't work, remember all you got to do is click on it, and then you can change the scale over here in the Properties tab where it says View Scale, and you have a lot of different options. Just make sure that you're hitting Apply when you switch. Okay. Now that I'm ready to turn this in, I have to turn this into a PDF. Now one of the problems that we have is it's not as easy to turn it into a PDF as Autodesk Inventor. So what I recommend doing is just going to File, and then you're going to click on Print. Once you get to Print, I'm going to have a lot more options than you are, but if you go over here, I believe the one that you guys have is the Microsoft XPS Document Writer. Oh, I'm sorry, Microsoft Print to PDF is the one that you will use. Okay, you guys don't have the Adobe PDF Creator, if I'm correct. So you're going to use the one that says Microsoft Print to PDF. If it's not that one, it's something that's it's along those lines where it'll be something to PDF. So I'm going to click on that. This is going to allow me when I hit OK to go ahead and print this. So it's going to say, hey, you have temporary hide and isolators. You want to keep that? I'm going to say, yeah, I actually do want that, so I'm going to leave it alone. If you don't, you can always switch right here. This warning comes up. Revit will use the raster printing. Okay, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm just going to close that. And then now I'm able to save to where I want to save it to. So for you guys, you're going to obviously want to save it to your H drive. So you're going to go down to where your H drive is. Okay, you should have a folder that says Design. You're going to make sure that you go into that Design folder and save it. I have a folder that's called Revit Files. Notice I don't have any PDFs created, so I don't see anything right now. I can just say Tiny House PDF. I always do recommend putting your name in there. Hit save, and then now when I go onto Canvas, I'll have that PDF that I can submit.